శ్రీ సాయీశ్వరం సుందర రూపం కనకాంబరధరం కరుణామూర్తిం సర్వజన ప్రియ ప్రేమ స్వరూపం పుటపర్తీశ్వర సత్యనారాయణం
Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai रामनामतारकं सदा भजो रे रामनामतारकं सदा भजो रे सदा भजो रे।
रघुपते राघवा राजा राम दशरथ नंदन राजा राम कौसल्यात्मज सुंदर 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 राम 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 जय राजा राम श्यामल कोमल मेघ श्यामा
Om Shri Sai Ram. With love and gratitude, I invoke the presence and blessings of my guide, guardian and God, our dear Swami. Esteemed speaker, revered elders, dear sisters and brothers, Sai Ram and good evening to one and all. Swami very often says, we need to be like the flute. The flute is hollow. Likewise, we too need to be hollow, which means devoid of ego. The flute has a lot of holes and it is incomplete. Likewise, we may be incomplete and not perfect. Yet, the flute just surrenders itself to the hands of the musician. Likewise, we too need to surrender ourselves like Lakshmana did to the Lord. And the Lord will let His breath flow through us and create melodious music for the world. There are thousands of rivulets that add to the might and majesty of the Ganga. When we surrender to the Lord like Lakshmana did, irrespective of who we are, in spite of who we are, He will bless us with an opportunity to be part of His divine mission. Just like these rivulets which add to the might and majesty of the Ganga. This evening, to learn about such blessed rivulets, we have with us Dr. Sai Giridhar Sai Ram. Dear sisters and brothers, put your hands together and join me in welcoming Dr. Sai Giridhar Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Please join me in this invocation and please repeat this chant after me. 3 times we'll have this. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Please repeat. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. With pranams at the divine lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagavan, Shri Satya Sai Rama, Atma Rama. My loving pranams and Sai Ram to Bhagavan present here as each and every one of you. Today, we are going to revel in the glory of, as brother described, those hundreds of rivulets that form the majesty of this great, sacred, auspicious Ganga called Ramayana. In fact, if you travel to the Himalayas, you will see that Ganga is not one big stream coming from one mountain, but thousands of streams actually feed into that river, but all of them go to the same final destination. Every morning, Bhagwan has inspired us to commence the day with Omkaram and Suprabhatam. Suprabhatam has a very special place in Swami's heart. In fact, when Swami would conduct the summer course here, in the early days, the students would be involved very deeply in the arrangement, and sometimes they would sleep late in the night and not get up in the morning for Suprabhatam. And Swami very promptly, this is happening in their hostel where they are staying, and Swami very promptly the next day would say, I was waiting, but you all didn't come. I didn't hear the Suprabhatam today. And Swami would also tell the students that Suprabhatam cheste supreme grace istanu. If you do Suprabhatam, I will confer on you supreme grace. Now, what is this Suprabhatam? Why is it so important that the avatar of the age is emphasizing so much on this? Why should it be the first activity of the day? In our culture, which is filled with symbolism, everything has a meaning. Suprabhatam, of course, means that which is done in the Sandhya Kala or just before Sandhya Kala. And in a way of welcoming the sun, the daybreak happens during Sandhya Kala, and you're invoking the rise of the sun through the Suprabhatam. But the true inner meaning is this. Every time you go to sleep, that is, you become unaware of God, it is called Nidra, sleep. Every time you become aware of God's presence in your life, it is waking up from sleep. And therefore, Suprabhatam is something that awakens you to the presence of God. So not necessarily just the Sandhya Kala that is the physical connotation of Suprabhatam. So if you look at this very carefully, this beautiful image there we have, the first verse of the Suprabhatam, the Satya Sai Suprabhatam says, Ishwaramba Sutta Shriman Purva Sandhya Pravartate. This is pregnant with meaning. We are invoking the child, the glorious son of Mother Ishwaramma, to wake up. What is the inner significance of this? And what is this Purva Sandhya? Sandhya Kala, as you all know, is the time when the sun is just about to rise. In terms of a sadhaka, as we saw yesterday, Ramayana is not just a historical account of great events that happened 20,000 years ago, but it is a live narration of what's happening to us today and now. And therefore, the Sandhya Kala here represents the journey of a sadhaka. And what this awakening here, the call of awakening here represents here is the sun rises in the east, and therefore it is said Purva Sandhya, no doubt. But here Purva Sandhya means the sadhaka is now yearning to be liberated. The sadhaka is now yearning to be liberated, and therefore he calls out to the Sadguru. Yesterday we saw that the surrender must happen only at the lotus feet of the Avatara Purusha, who is the true Sadguru. And when does that surrender happen? When the individual realizes that I am done with this cycle of birth and death, coming here again and again, again and again, and I want to come out of this cycle. When this awakening, this realization happens, in the sadhaka, he calls out to the Sadguru and says, please awaken thyself in me. We must understand this. God is not asleep. He is the ever awake one. And when we think that we are not God, we are asleep. So what is to be awakened? Just dropping of the notion that I am not God is waking up from this dream of what we think is our experience in this world. And therefore the prayer in Suprabhatam, the divine clarion call in Suprabhatam is, O Lord, awaken thyself in me and in all of creation. This is the rahasya. In fact, Satyasai Suprabhatam, as it reveals itself from one stanza to the other, actually corresponds to each kanda of the Ramayana. But today we don't have the time to elaborate on this, because today we are going to look at these wonderful special characters, personalities in Ramayana, who are these 100 rivulets that feed Mother Ganga. So I will leave that to your imagination for now. Having said that, let's just look at the first stanza where Bhagavan has beautifully allowed this prayer, Ishwaramba Sutta Shriman Purva Sandhya Pravartate. There is another Suprabhatam that is usually sung, especially in Tirupati and other sacred shrines, where we say about Lord Rama also there is Suprabhatam. What is that? Kaushalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate. Kaushalya Supraja Rama. Here it is Ishwaramba Sutta Shriman, means both are the same. Whether you call out to Kaushalya Supraja Rama or Ishwaramba Sutta Shriman, it is exactly the same. But the way this story unravels is when the sadhaka calls out to the Sadguru. Sadguru's original nature, as we saw yesterday, is unmanifest. He has no name or form. He is beyond the gunas. He is gunatita. But when the sadhaka is unable to perceive such a Sadguru, their heart pours out in devotion to Bhagavan, and out of his compassion, Swami in Ramakatha Rasavahini says that in Ramayana, Rama represents Karuna Rasa, the essence of compassion. The Sadguru, the unmanifest Parabrahman, out of his immense compassion for us, assumes this Sundara Rupa, this beautiful divine form of our beloved Bhagavan. Now, how did this form come into being then and now? Let us look at that first, because it is very significant. What happened is in Krita Yuga, this is the Yuga before Treta Yuga, it is also referred to as Satya Yuga, there were two great beings by name Manu and Shatarupa. Manu and Shatarupa were given the duty to populate this earth. And while they did that successfully, and they followed their dharma as was prescribed to them, they went on to do penance towards the end of their life. So Manu and Shatarupa did such intense penance that the Lord, the Supreme Parabrahman in the form of Narayana, had to appear in front of them. And when he appeared in front of them, Mother Shatarupa prayed to Lord Narayana and said, O Lord, I have one boon to ask of you, will you grant me? And Lord said, I have come here to grant you the boon because you have done your penance successfully. Please tell me, what do you want? And Mother says, I want a son just like you. Mother Shatarupa says, I want a son just like you. Lord Narayana chuckles, he smiles and says, Mother, but there is nobody in this creation like me. So if you want a son just like me, then I only have to come. So in your next incarnation, I myself will be born as your son. With reference to this, on 20th October 2002, on Avatar Declaration Day, Bhagavan declared this. He said, in my earlier incarnations, my parents had done penance. The parents of the avataric form had done immense penance, earned his grace, and they asked for the Lord to be born as their child. And therefore, Rama was born to his parents and Lord Krishna was born to his parents. Then Bhagavan said, "Ee avataramlo atla kaadu." In this avatar, it is not like that. I have personally chosen who has to be my mother, who has to be my father, who are the people who are going to be around me. I have personally chosen. This was the declaration of Satya Sai Avatar. How fortunate are we to have known Mother Ishwarama. How fortunate are we to have known Pedda Venkamaraju Garu. How fortunate are we to know all the devotees around Bhagavan and for us ourselves to be in his Sanidhyam. What great good fortune. Going back to the Manu Shatarupa story, Manu was born as Dasharatha and Mother Shatarupa was born as Kaushalya. But there was one other thing that we must know before we proceed into the Ramayana story. Mother Shatarupa did not stop with that boon of asking the Lord that I need a child just like you, for which he said, I myself will come as your child. She said, "Oh Lord, I have one more boon to ask." The Lord said, "Oh Mother, you are indeed very, very wise. The reason is, now that I have accepted you as my mother, I have given a word that I'll be born to you, which means I have accepted you as my mother, I have to listen to everything that you say now and ask for, and therefore please do ask what is your other boon that you want." And Mother Shatarupa says, "Oh Lord, when you are born as my child, when I'm playing with you, feeding you, taking care of you, just like any other mother would do, I must not forget who you are." This was the boon that Shatarupa asked of the Lord, and the Lord smiled and blessed her with that. So as a result of that, what happened was, in the Shri Ram Avatara, Mother Kaushalya was time and again reminded by Bhagavan himself. He gave hints and she caught the hint and understood who her child was. Swami beautifully describes this again in Ramakatha Rasavayani. Mother Kaushalya would go and place payasam as Naivedyam in the presence of Lord Vishnu, and what would happen is, after a while, the level in the vessel would go down and she would wonder who has come and partaken this. And when she would go and see her baby Rama, his lips would be drenched with milk, and she would wonder, how can this baby, the baby cannot walk on its own and come out of the cradle, but how did the baby drink that milk? And she would wonder like that, and that is when the memory of her boon would come to her. And as a result, Mother Kaushalya knew who her child was. This was one of her greatest boon and greatest quality as well, that gave her immense strength in the face of all the difficulties that the mother had to go through because of what happened to Rama. Swami describes, Mother Kaushalya would be waiting to see if all the servant maids have left her chamber, whether King Dasharatha has left the chamber, and then she would carefully look around and slowly take the Pada Namaskara of the baby Rama, so that nobody should mistake what she is doing. She would take the Pada Namaskara of baby Rama. That was Mother Kaushalya. We now get into the first nectarine kanda. Swami says in Ramakatha Rasavayani, kanda means sugarcane. Sugarcane has an outer rind, and he wants us that the outer rind is just to encase the nectar that is within. That is the role of the outer rind. And you must not over chew the outer rind. It will start hurting your mouth, isn't it? If you take a sugar cane and start chewing so much, it will start hurting your mouth. It is only meant to deliver the juice, the essence to you. In the same way, the various statistics in Ramayana, the facts in Ramayana, the details of Ramayana are like the outer rind. But what we have to consume as devotees is the essence of Ramayana, the Ramakatha Rasa. Therefore, when the Avatar wrote his autobiography, he decided to name it not as just Ramakatha or Ramayana, but he said Ramakatha Rasa Vahini. And in the first kanda, which is Balakanda, the images here show you what it covers. It covers the time right from the birth of the four divine beings, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna. It covers the birth of Mother Sita, who was found in the womb of earth by the great Rajarishi Janaka. It also covers the princess going to the school that is under the tutelage of the great Mahatma Vashishta Varlu, as we saw. And as I told you yesterday, and those of you who are here only today, whenever we mention the name of these great beings, great devotees, the great rishis and the Lord himself, in your heart just bow down to them, because they are here present with us all the time. Whenever the Ramayana is sung or spoken of, all the rishis, all the great divine beings assemble there to listen to the glory of the story of Rama. Here is the testimony for that. You see? So, going ahead, the Balakanda also covers how Shri Rama and Lakshmana traveled with the great sage Vishwamitra, who gave us the Gayatri Mantra, and finally the Sita Rama Kalyanam, which has already been spoken at great length. So today in the Balakanda, we are going to look at very specific episodes in some detail to understand the extraordinary values that these devotees embodied. The first one is King Dasharatha himself. Though he is not a minor character by any stretch in Ramayana, very little is spoken about him generally. And therefore it is important to know about his greatness. Why did the Lord choose such a father? Not just because he was Manu and he did penance, but Dasharatha was known for his parakrama. He fought on the side of Devatas and won them many victories against the Rakshasas. And his parakrama was not ordinary. Ravana constantly tried to attack Ayodhya. He was always worried and scared about Dasharatha's parakrama, his valor, but he tried. Once it is said, he sent a messenger to Dasharatha and told him that you either surrender to me, accept me as an emperor, or wage war with me. Dasharatha was nonchalant. He didn't even worry about this message from Ravana. Was not an ordinary being himself. He had defeated his brother Kubera. He had attained the Pushpaka Vimana. He had all the Devas under his control. All that happened. But Dasharatha did not budge an inch. It is said, standing where he was, Dasharatha leaves arrow from Ayodhya. Imagine Uttar Pradesh in India. And where is Sri Lanka? He releases an arrow from there which goes and locks up the four dwaras. Usually, any kingdom will have the dwaras or the gates on all four directions, north, east, west, south. He released an arrow that went and locked up the four gates of Lanka, and Dasharatha very casually told the messenger of Ravana, go and tell your master that if his armies can come out of the gate, then we'll wage war. And Ravana understood the strength of Dasharatha. He never messed around with Dasharatha. There are two people that Ravana did not mess around with. One was Dasharatha, another was Janaka. Janaka, who looks like such a soft, sweet personality, he was such a great Brahmajnani that Ravana never dared come face to face with him, ever in his life. So these are the two people. His parakrama is his highest virtue. Why I am presenting this as a highest virtue is, in a discourse that Swami gave specifically to students, Swami was talking about self-confidence. And you know what he said? You need God's grace to be successful in life. I'm sure you don't have doubts about that. But how do you earn God's grace? Bhagavan gave this Subhashita with a slight modification. There is a Subhashita that says, Subhashita means a good saying that is useful for us in practical life. And there's a famous Subhashita that says, Udyamaha Sahasam Dhairyam Buddhi Shakti Parakramam. Udyamaha Sahasam Dhairyam Buddhi Shakti Parakramam. Shadete Yatra Tishtanti Tatra Deva Sahayakrita. This is the Shubhashita. But Swami changed the first word. What does this mean? Udyamaha means consistent effort, persistent effort. Sahasam, courage. Dhairyam. Dhairyam means patience here. Dhairya means patience. Buddhi means viveka, intelligence, intellect. Shakti, capability. Parakramam, to be courageous, to heroism, to be valorous, to be courageous, to take action in the face of even calamity. That one who has all these 6 qualities, Shadete Yatra Trishtanti, the one who has all these 6 qualities, Tatra Deva Sahayakrita. God himself rushes to help such a person. This is the Shubhashita, and Swami actually started a discourse, divine discourse with this Shubhashita and changed the first word. He said not Udyamaha, he said Utsaham, Sahasam, Dhairyam. Utsaham, he said. Consistent effort is result of Utsaham, enthusiasm. So youngsters, especially students, must know this, that the first thing you must cultivate in your life to have that kind of confidence in the self, that is Bhagavan, is Utsaham, enthusiasm. Utsaham, Sahasam, Dhairyam, Buddhi, Shakti, Parakramam. All these qualities were profound in Dasharatha. You see? And his Buddhi, Viveka, the discriminatory faculty is known. There's a beautiful example that Swami gives in Ramakatha Rasvayani. It seems one day, Raja Dasharatha, the great emperor Dasharatha, was lying down. He was about to go to sleep, and there is always water kept by the bedside. And he goes to take that glass of water to drink, and as he did that, he noticed his hand trembling. The moment he noticed the hand trembling, he decided that very second, it is time to pass on the kingdom to the youngsters. It is the time to pass on the kingdom to Shri Rama. Why? Because he noticed that the hand was shaking, which means the slightest sense of weakness that he experienced in his instrument, which is the body, he decided, this is an indication from God, I must give the reins to Shri Rama. And immediately that next morning, early morning, he goes to his guru, Vashishta, and then tells that please do fix the muhurta for Rama's coronation. Vashishta says, what is the hurry? Why are you hurrying up, O king? He says, no, yesterday my hand trembled, and therefore this is the time. Vashishta Varlu knew what is going to happen, so he tried to tell the king this is not the time, but the king was convinced. From his end, his viveka was very profound. You see, that is Dasharatha himself. Dasharatha had an extremely loyal minister. His name was Sumantra. In Ramayana, you would have seen the mention of his name many times, but nobody talks about his qualities so much. Sumantra was of extraordinary nature. Ravana, who is already now scared of Dasharatha's valor, his parakrama, because he is a great astrologer himself, knows that the child born to Dasharatha is a potential threat to him. He knows Dasharatha is aging. He does not have a male child who will become the next king. But he knows that if a child is born to Dasharatha, that child can definitely defeat Ravana. That was his prediction. And therefore, he also calculated who is the correct person to be the mother of such a child. And he saw that Dasharatha is the king of the Uttara Kaushalya empire, and in Dakshina Kausala, very close to that, is Mother Kaushalya. She grew up there. She was the princess of that place. So what Ravana did was, he did his Maya and he made her unconscious. He made Mother Kaushalya unconscious, put her in a box and left her in the river, so that she will meet with some dangerous destiny and he will be safe from his own fate that he has to meet. That was his thought process at that time. But what happened was this. Sumantra, the minister of Dasharatha, who was going by in that direction, he saw this box floating in the river. See, who can go against the will of God? He saw that box floating in the river and he immediately got it pulled out and he saved Mother Kaushalya. And he saw the insignia on her and realized that she is the princess of the Dakshina Kausala kingdom, and he safely handed her over to the king. Now the thing is, in those days there was this tradition that if a valorous being, a valorous person saves a princess, they would usually give them in marriage to them. That is the trend. So it is possible that with this thought, the king asked Sumantra, "O great valorous being, you have saved my daughter from death. May I know who you are?" If Sumantra gave only details of his qualifications and his greatness, something else could have happened. But you know what Sumantra did? He said, "I am a humble, loyal servant of the great king Dasharatha of the Uttara Kaushalya kingdom," he says, "and therefore whatever I am doing is on the behest of my king." And that led to the decision that Mother Kaushalya must be given in marriage to Dasharatha. But Mother Kaushalya's father was still not satisfied, because he knew that Sumantra is the one who saved her, so he wanted to give her something. So it is said that he gave Sumantra a beautiful ring, a big ring. And our elders here have shared with us that once Swami materialized that ring here in our Brindavan premises and showed it to all the students, that see, this is the ring that Kausalya's father gave it to Sumantra. And it so happened that all the students went and took blessings of that ring. And then Swami said, "Oh, so all of you took the blessings of what was created and you forgot the hand that created it." You see? So that was Sumantra's story. His loyalty is of great value for each of us to learn from. The third very important couple, actually here there's not one person, is Shanta and Rishyashringa. In fact, Bhagavan goes to the extent of saying that Shanta was responsible for the very birth of Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna, which means the entire Ramayana is indebted to this one great personality, that is Shanta. Now, who is Shanta? Shanta is the firstborn child of Dasharatha and Mother Kaushalya. They had a daughter before Rama, but because of the rules that were prevailing in that age, she could not take up the reins after Dasharatha. So what had happened is Dasharatha had given her in adoption to his very close friend Raja Romapada. And Raja Romapada had got her married to this extraordinary sage by name Rishyashringa. In fact, when Dasharatha did not have any children through all three wives of his, they became very desperate. They were forlorn, and therefore they prayed to Vasishtha and asked, "How can I solve this problem? Who will take care of this grand kingdom?" And Vasishtha in his calm countenance, he looked within and said, "Don't worry. Invite the great sage Rishyashringa to perform the Putra Kameshti Yaga, and you will be successful. You will find the next generation to rule this kingdom, and they will not be ordinary. They will bring great glory not just to your kingdom, but the entire Bharatavarsha." And that is how Rishyashringa and Mother Shanta were invited. In fact, when Sumantra goes to invite Rishyashringa, this is a shower of grace, so don't worry about it, nothing will happen. Just find a comfortable place to sit. Yes. Thank you. Please find a comfortable place where it's not too wet. Yes. Fine. Okay, let's chant together 3 times. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Okay? Come on. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. The greatness of this divine couple, Rishyashringa and Shanta, was such that where there was no rain in the region, when they would put their step into that region, there would be huge showers of rain. Wherever there was lack of crop in some place, wherever they would go and place their feet, the crops will start flourishing in such region. And the secret behind their divine powers was simply this: they had perfect unity of thought, word and deed. Trikarna Shuddhi. Swami would say, with reference to Ramayana, how important it is to practice unity and purity of thought, word and deed. Whatever you think as sankalpa, you must say. Whatever you must say, you must act accordingly. This is so important. Swami would go to the extent of giving this example of Rama and Ravana. Swami would say, Manasyekam, Vachasyekam, Karmanyekam, Mahatmanam, and that is Rama. He is a Mahatma because he had unity of thought, word and deed. Manas Anyat, Vachas Anyat, Karman Anyat, Duratmanam, and that is Ravana. He would say, Duratma is the one who thinks something, says something else, and acts completely opposite to what he thinks or says. Such a person is like Ravana. Ravana said that he wanted to convert the entire ocean into drinking water so that people will benefit. But you know what? He never acted on it. He probably had the powers to do that, but he never acted on it, and therefore delay. And delay leads to failure. And that is what happened to Ravana. But Rama, he said, Ekabanam, Ekapatni, and Ekavak. One word, one arrow and one wife. And you know what? Rama held on to this right till the end. Because he gave that one word, when his father asked him to go to forest, how many people tried to stop him, but he never budged an inch. When he takes an arrow into his hand, he has to release it. He cannot put it back into the quiver because that was his sankalpa. This happens when Rama goes to the ocean, the Sagara Devata, and asks him to give way. After a long period of pleading, Sagara does not respond, and Rama pulls out an arrow. Now Sagara, seeing the fierce Rama for the first time, he appears and says, "Oh Lord, don't burn me down, or don't evaporate the water in the oceans, because it is not just me, but all the life that is marine life that is there will be destroyed completely. So I plead for your mercy," is what Sagara says. Then Rama says, "But I can't let this arrow go waste. I can't put it back in the quiver. What do I do? Because Ekabana Vratam." And you know what? Sagara then says, "There is a Mahendragiri Parvata. Please release this arrow on that. The stones that come from there you can make use of to build the bridge across to Lanka." Ekabanam. And Ekapatni. There were many who pleaded with Rama to be his consort, but Rama never agreed. In fact, there was no rule at that time. Dasharatha himself had 3 queens. There were many political marriages also that would happen in those days. But Rama gave a word to be with just one wife and to be with one word and one bana. That is Manasyekam, Vachasyekam, Karmanyekam, Mahatmanam. And Rishyashringa and Shanta were like that. And therefore, wherever they stepped in, there was success, success and success. It is not possible for Prakriti not to acknowledge their divine presence. There is a story that Swami had told one of our professors. This is a very important point, so I am going to emphasize a little more on this, especially for students. Swami would tell this very, very important point of Trikarna Shuddhi. There was this one gentleman in Japan. This is a real life story, almost unbelievable. But Bhagavan himself narrated the story. There was this one gentleman in Japan. He was an Indian gentleman. He was called for a meeting in Japan to address the gathering. Now you all know the wonderful culture of Japan. They are so punctual that you can set your watch based on the train timings. We had been there to Japan on Swami's work once, and we saw this with our own eyes, that the train says 9:26. They won't have even rounded numbers. 9:26 they will say train will come, it will be there. You can close your eyes and walk in. That is the precision of time that Japanese follow, and such a great culture. So this gentleman, the Indian gentleman, he is always on time, but that day something happened, some traffic jam or something. He got delayed to that conference by 5 minutes. He had to be there by 6:30. He reached by 6:35. Now, Japanese don't appreciate that. So he came 5 minutes late. He was escorted to the podium, and he saw everybody's faces, and they were all upset because he was 5 minutes late. So he looked at them and asked, "Why are you all so upset? What is wrong?" So one of them took the courage. They also are very gentle beings. So they took that courage to communicate it plainly and said, "See, the meeting was supposed to start at 6:30. That's all they said. So he said, "So what? It is only 6:30 now," he said. They said, "No, it is 6:35. He said, "No, look at your watch." And when they looked at their watches, it was 6:30. This was narrated by Swami. And then Swami told the professor, after narrating this experience, "Do you know why that happened? Because that being, that Indian citizen, had perfect Trikarna Shuddhi, unity of thought, word and deed. Because he said 6:30, Prakriti had to obey," he said. Such, Swami would often say, Chitrambulu Vichitrambulu. Anything can happen in this creation when you adhere to God's words. Please remember that. There is no limit to His grace. The other personalities, you have already seen the glory of Mother Kaushalya. She was a dharma paripalaka. In fact, when King Dasharatha came to ask her permission to marry Kaikeyi, Sumitra and Kaikeyi had this discussion, because there was a condition from Mother Kaikeyi's father that the child of Kaikeyi is to be the next emperor. And according to tradition, the eldest brother must be. So they don't know who's going to have a child first, but they were wondering, what if the child of Kaikeyi is not the firstborn, then the dharma will not be followed. So is it okay to give permission? Or Raja is asking his two wives permission to marry the third. They all know that Dasharatha was deeply infatuated with Mother Kaikeyi also, with the Queen Kaikeyi at that time. So they said, okay, we must ensure that this happens, but what if there is adharma in its place? And they conclude, Mother Kaushalya says, it is impossible for adharma to creep into this dynasty. I repeat these words of Bhagavan in Ramakatha. It is impossible for adharma to creep into this Ikshvaku dynasty. Why? Because every ruler, every individual in this Ikshvaku dynasty have been Satyavaka Paripalaka. They are practitioners of dharma, and dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. Those who practice dharma are protected by that very practice of dharma. And it is impossible that the child of Kaikeyi will ever claim the throne. This is happening before Raja Dasharatha married Kaikeyi. Imagine their conclusion, and you know what happened in Ramayana. That was their conviction in the power, and that is Mother Kaushalya. Mother Sumitra, the very embodiment of equanimity. You know the episodes of how she gave both her sons in service, but the challenge came when Hanuman was taking the mountain from Himalayas. Why? Because Lakshmana was unconscious and he was asked to get the Sanjeevani. He did not know which is Sanjeevani, so he took the entire mountain, the Sanjeevani Parvata, and came southwards. When he was crossing Nandigrama, where Bharata was there, Bharata thought this is some Rakshasa who is flying in the air with such a huge mountain in the hand. He didn't expect it to be Hanuman. They were not introduced at that point. So he shot an arrow which hit Hanuman. So Hanuman, out of respect for that arrow shot by Bharata, he came down. And he kept the mountain there, and he introduced himself and said what he is doing. It is said, Swami says, that all the three mothers also were summoned there, and Hanuman gave a complete narration of what happened till then to them, and that Lakshmana is there like that. So both Mother Kaushalya and Mother Kaikeyi rushed to Sumitra and said, we are so sorry to hear that our child Lakshmana is like this, unconscious. I hope you are fine, they asked Mother Sumitra. And you know what Sumitra said? She had no emotion on her face. She said, I know that Lakshmana is dedicated to serve Rama. Nothing can happen to him as long as Rama is there. But even in the eventuality that Lakshmana dies in the battlefield, I have one more son, Shatrughna, who will go and protect Rama and serve him, he said. Look at that mother's equanimity. Today there are many such great mothers in this Bharatavarsha who are like Mother Sumitra, who send their children to the borders to protect this Bharatavarsha, and they say this very same thing. When their sons have attained martyrdom and they are approached, they say, I only wish I have one more child that I can give to this Bharat Mata. That is the spirit of the mothers in this great land. And that was embodied by Mother Sumitra. Mother Kaikeyi, often taunted for all the wrong reasons, the avatar had to come 2 yugas later to clarify her role. Mother Kaikeyi is seen as a villain in Ramayana to a great extent. But Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai, who's verily Rama himself, came and clarified what actually happened. Swami said he went to Mother Kaikeyi and asked her for those 2 boons. He said, Mother, I want to remind you that you have been promised by Father Dasharatha 2 boons. You have never asked for them because you are selfless. And Mother Kaikeyi was like that. Please remember that, brothers and sisters. Mother Kaikeyi, the great warrior herself. She was a master of the craft of bow and arrow, archery. You know what? She did not teach it to Bharata, her son. She taught it to Rama first. Whatever kala she knew, first she would teach Rama. Anything that she wanted to communicate, first she will call Rama. That was her love for Rama. Nobody could imagine actually that Kaikeyi could ask for such a boon. Both the other 2 mothers could not believe Kaikeyi asked for that boon because they know her love for Rama. So Bhagavan clarifies and says that Rama went to Mother Kaikeyi and said, Mother, I want something from you. She said, Jaan hazir hai. My life is there to give for you, Rama. Please tell me what you want. She is also a warrior. So then Rama says, Mother, I am going to ask you something which is much more difficult than giving up your life for me. She says, what is it, Rama? You tell me. I will do that for you. And then he says, Mother, ask for the 2 boons. And what should they be? I must be sent to forest for 14 years and Bharata must be made king. She says, what are you saying, Rama? He said, yes, this is what I want you to do, because this is where the mission of my avatarhood lies, and I have to go to the forest. Everybody in Ramayana are actually just facilitating the divine will. They are instruments to facilitate the divine will. So Rama says, Mother, can you ask? But as a result of this, you will be tarnished in such a way that mothers across ages, across eras, will not name their daughter after you. Is that okay, Mother? You will be tarnished to this extent, he says. And Mother, without hesitating, says, Rama, this life and everything that I can offer to you is available at your lotus feet for your mission. Please go ahead. I will fulfill this wish of yours. She says, she is the very embodiment of Tyaga. Swami narrates that after he comes back, after the 14 years of exile, Rama comes back and Mother Kaikeyi goes to Rama and says, I have put you to so much trouble. Imagine, this was something that Rama himself asked. But Mother is so disturbed because of what Rama had to go through, what Sita and Lakshmana had to go through. She says, because of me you had to go through this, Rama. As a repentance, I want some diksha from you. Give me a spiritual practice that will redeem me. Swami describes this. And then Rama says, Mother, go to Sarayu, have a sacred bath and come back. I will initiate you into sadhana, he says. And Mother goes and she has bath in Sarayu and she's paying attention to the surroundings. There were goats and sheep and everything there. She has her bath and comes back to Rama. Rama then says, Mother, are you ready? She says, yes, Rama. please redeem me. And then he says, you went to that bank of Sarayu. What did you notice, Amma? He says. So Mother Kaikeyi says, there were so many sheep and goat there, and they were all, making sounds. What sound did they make, Amma? He asked. And Mother Kaikeyi said, they were making a sound, meh, meh. He said, that is my diksha for you, he says. What is that? What is this diksha, she asked. And he says, this meh, meh means I. This I. Inquire into who am I. This is my initiation for you, said Rama to Kaikeyi. That is the glory of her. She got initiated into the highest sadhana of self-inquiry by Shri Rama himself as a boon of her sacrifice, her tyaga. Of course, in the Balakanda, there are so many, almost all great personalities of Ramayana are introduced in Balakanda. But there is one more, and that is Raja Janaka. If I start Raja Janaka, I cannot stop today, tomorrow. I don't know if it will take a month to talk about him. He was called Videha because he had attained perfect realization but functioned like a king fully with realization. People usually think that to realize yourself, you have to go to the caves of Himalayas or isolate yourself from the family situation, what not. But the message that Raja Janaka gave then is the same message that Bhagavan resonates and echoes even in this yuga. And what did he give? He was a Raja Rishi, which means with perfect realization of the self. He was called Videhi because he always knew that he was not the body. Deha means body, Vi means separate. The prefix Vi in Sanskrit means separate. Videhi means one who was separate from his body all the time. While the body functioned and did all its duties like a Raja. Imagine the work of the Raja. He has to take care of his kingdom, his queens, his children, all of that. Functioning fully in the world, he was never in the world. And that is what Swami would say, head in the forest, hands in the society. That was Raja Janaka. I don't want to elaborate because if I get into it, I cannot come out. So let's move on to the next Kanda. Just to show you, this is a beautiful map of Rama's journey. Of course, there are some points of contention. Some say that Panchavati is in Bhadrachalam. There is a contention of where Jatayu Maranam happened. All that. But largely, this map is very accurate, and I am grateful to whoever made this map. You see that first section that is there. So, Balakanda was predominantly in Ayodhya, but from there we are moving to Ayodhyakanda, where the story maps from Ayodhya all the way up to students, Chitrakoot, right? So the story is from Rama's coronation to Mother Kaikeyi asking for the boon, to Rama, Lakshmana and Sita going to the forest, to Bharata meeting Shri Rama in Chitrakoot and receiving the sandals of Rama, padukas of Rama, and enthroning them, enshrining them as the emperor of Ayodhya. And he was only nimitta matra, just an instrument to rule. This entire story happens in the Ayodhyakanda. In Ayodhyakanda, there is only one person that I would like to talk about, and by no means he is a lesser known personality. But the thing is, if you are having a Ramayana Sapthāham and you don't mention him, the Ramayana Sapthāham cannot be complete. And therefore, I have taken the liberty to bring this wonderful personality into picture, though this is meant for lesser known personalities. Bharata, what an extraordinary expression of love and devotion he was. What an extraordinary expression of brotherhood he was. I remember we were depicting this very scene in one of the convocation dramas. Convocation dramas happen on 22nd November, one day before Swami's birthday. The year that we presented the drama, which had one of the scenes of Bharata and Rama meeting in Chitrakoot, Swami became so emotional seeing that scene, and he would time and again tell us during the practice sessions that brothers should be like this, brothers should be like this. And you know what he did? The next day in the birthday address, When Swami gave his divine discourse in birthday, he referred to the convocation drama. He said, yesterday you all saw in the convocation drama that scene of Rama and Bharata, where Bharata is telling Rama to take the kingdom, Rama is telling Bharata to take the kingdom. He said, where does it happen today? Every brother wants to take everybody else's property, not just his brothers. Where will we find such brotherhood? And Swami said, it is the duty of my devotees, my students, to be like this. Brothers must be like this. Not just be like this, but take the message of Ramayana to every village, to every town and every city, and teach them that brotherhood should be like this. These were the words of Swami himself. In the childhood, when the four brothers would play, Rama obviously would win every time. You might have heard this story, but it is relevant here. Rama would win every time. But one day, Rama felt, no, what is this? My brothers should win. So he deliberately lost so that Bharata could win that game, what they were playing. As soon as Bharata won, one would expect that if you're losing every time and suddenly you win, you will be elated, right? Bharata was weeping unconsolably. He was inconsolably, he was weeping, and he ran to Mother Kaushalya. Mother Kaushalya hugged him and said, my dear child, why are you weeping, Bharata? What happened to you? You were playing game. Did you lose? He said, no, I won. So she was shocked. She said, you won and you're weeping? He said, yes, I won at the cost of Rama losing. I can't take that, mother, he said. This is just young child Bharata. This was the love that the younger brother had for the elder brother. And that was seen all through and through. And finally, when Shri Rama left, Bharata said, I will agree. You all heard about, Rangarajan sir beautifully explained about the dharma of prema in his talk, and which Janaka himself had proclaimed. And as a result of that, Bharata had to ask Rama, Karishe vachanam tava, whatever you say I will do, my lord, my beloved, you tell me. And Rama said, I have to go to the forest, but you rule on my behalf until I come back. You know what Bharata said? He didn't happily say, okay, I will take it. If you come, you come later. He said, Rama, I am giving you a warning, a deadline. Exactly at the end of the 14th year, if you are not here, you will not see me alive, he said. This was Bharata. And then it exactly happened like that. Rama was delayed a little bit because Rama Karya was, you can't imagine what all wonderful leelas that Rama had to do, how many devotees he had to bless. And because of the sudden change in plan, the seemingly sudden change in plan of going to Lanka to vanquish Ravana, there were many sages who were waiting for him, whom he had promised he will come and bless. So Rama, after killing Ravana, was on his way, but he knew that he had to bless these sages, and therefore he cannot be there in the appointed time. So he sends Hanuman. Before time he sends Hanuman. In fact, yesterday Ravi Kumar sir was narrating this wonderful experience of his in the birthplace of Hanuman, which is there in Kishkinda. We are going next there in the subsequent kandas. And it seems there is a temple where Hanuman is missing in the idols that are there. Rama is there, Lakshmana is there, Sita is there, Hanuman is not there, which is quite rare, isn't it, in a Rama temple. But when sir inquired about this, he was told that Rama sent Hanuman in advance to go and inform Bharata that he is coming. Therefore, Hanuman is missing in that temple. It's a beautiful, see how beautiful our Bharatiya culture is. They capture these stories so nicely in all these wonderful kshetras. So, but there is some more depth to this which Swami gave. Swami said, Rama told Hanuman, don't go and reveal yourself immediately. From a distance you observe Bharata. If he is very comfortable ruling the kingdom, just notice that, come back and report to me. I am very happy in this forest. I have lived for 14 years. I am so comfortable living here. Sita is also adjusted to this place. Lakshmana is also adjusted to this place. We will all happily live here amongst the sages and saints. I don't want that kingdom again if Bharata is happy. And therefore, Hanuman goes in hiding and he looks at Bharata what he is doing. And you know what he saw there? Bharata had already arranged for his pyre. It was not lit, all the wood, firewood and everything was placed. He arranged that pyre. And Brahma Rishi Vashishta Varlu was trying to convince Bharata not to take this action, and he said, no, I have given a word and a warning to my brother that if he doesn't come on this day, I'm going to jump into this fire and give up my life. I can't breathe. I can't take one more breath in the absence of Rama, he says. And when Hanuman hears that, without wasting a moment, he jumps in front of Bharata and reveals they are already introduced to each other. So he knows who Hanuman is, and he's so pleasantly surprised. Bharata says, Hanuman, you are here. Where is my Rama? He says, it is Rama Agnya. It is the order of Rama that he is going to come, but he has his Rama Karya to do. He has given many promises he has to fulfill. So he has asked you, he has ordered you to wait. And therefore you must. And that message was communicated to Bharata. But look at the intensity of devotion of Bharata. Look at his surrender. Look at his selflessness. These are the values that are dear to Swami. And what must be dear to us devotees is what is dear to Swami. There should be no second thought on this. What must be dear to us devotees is what is dear to Swami. And that is what Bharata did, no? He said, Swami, Rama, you tell what you love, what you want, what is dear to you, I will do that. And that's how he allowed Rama to go ahead, because that was Rama's will. So that is Bharata. And now we will have a bhajan to integrate the grace of all these devotees. You have seen so many devotees, a plethora of wonderful, wonderful, great beings we have invoked in these past few minutes in this satsang. So let us absorb their blessings. As you sing this bhajan, absorb their blessings to be like them. Absorb Bhagavan's blessing to be in servitude to him forever. Sai Ram. After this bhajan, we'll continue.
Ayodhyavasi Ram, 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 Dasharatha Nandana Ram.
Ayodhyavasi Ram, 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 Dasharatha Nandana Ram.
Hey, Ayodhyavasi Ram, 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 Dasharatha Nandana Ram.
Ayodhyavasi Ram, 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 Dasharatha Nandana Ram.
पतित पावन जानकी जीवन सीता मोहन राम।
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 अयोध्या
From the Ayodhyakanda, we move to the Aranyakanda, and as you can see in this beautiful map, the entire Aranyakanda was through the dense forest of Dandakaranya. And Rama traveled all the way from Chitrakoot to Nasik or Panchavati. That is where Sita Apaharana happened eventually, and where Shurpanaka's incident happened, which we saw yesterday. And all the way he comes down to meet Mother Shabari. So all these instances happen there. But the most profound personality that is introduced in Ramayana for a very brief time is Mother Shabari. Mother Shabari lived in a deserted hermitage. She didn't live in a thriving ashram where all facilities were provided for her. She lived in a deserted hermitage because her guru, Matanga Muni, who used to live there, he had decided to proceed northwards and upwards. And therefore, he said that I am going to leave this ashram. But he told Mother Shabari that Bhagavan Rama himself is going to, the avatar of the age is going to come here. So if you wish to, you can continue to remain here. And Mata Shabari for 14 years, every single day, she would sweep the ashram because she didn't know there was no cell phone, there was no GPS, there were no instant short news available with a click of a button. Nothing was there. Nobody knew in the forest where Rama is, right? So what she only knew is this, that she had to give her everything to see Rama. And every day she would sweep the entire hermitage. She would lay flowers in welcome to Rama. Imagine doing this for 14 years every single day. That was her penance. In fact, she is the very embodiment of purity, patience and perseverance. The 3 P's that are very dear to Swami again. That is the high value that Mother embodied, Mother Shabari. So finally, after 14 years of persistent seva that she did for Rama, even in his physical absence, finally one day the Lord appeared before her, and it is said that she was very casual and normal about it. There are some descriptions like this that say that she was so casual and normal because every day she is inviting Rama. So that was a day when she actually saw him physically, and she found his form to be so beautiful. She was enamored by his form. She welcomed him just the way she did for 14 years and offered him the seat, just as it is shown there. And every day she would collect these ber ka fruit, and there were bitter ones and sweet ones, and she would bite them and see in her innocence. She was a tribal woman. She would bite them and see, and whatever is sweet, she would keep one side, whatever is bitter, she would put them aside. That's what she would do every day. Here was Rama, so her ritual continued. So she did that, and she kept all the sweet ones, the bitter ones, and offered it to Rama. And Rama took that, and as if the Devatas have brought ambrosia, Amritam from the Swarga Loka and offered to him, Rama is enjoying that ber and the berry fruit. And Lakshmana is deeply perturbed by the scene, and he says, slowly he bends down, you must not offend your hosts. So he bends down and says, Rama, what are you doing? She's eating, ye jhuta hai, means she's eating and giving. How can you have this? Rama says, Lakshmana, you also have. See how wonderful it is. And then Lakshmana is like, no, I am good. You have it. So, but he's not able to understand. And then the conversation that ensued after that made Lakshmana realize the glory of this great mother, Shabari, this great devotee. So Mother Shabari says, Rama, I have been waiting for you for so long, and you are so compassionate, so kind, that you have finally come and given me darshan. Now I am done. I don't have any other. But I have only one thing. Am I even worthy of you, Rama? I belong to a low caste. I am not having any great accomplishments. I am not a sage or anybody like that. Do I even deserve this darshan of yours, she asks, in all her innocence. And Swami says, Bhagavan says that Rama replied to Shabari like this. Rama replies to Shabari, Amma, What does caste and creed matter to me? Does it make even any sense to me? The only thing that I am concerned about is bhakti, he says. In fact, Swami writes this in Premavayani and says that Rama tells Mother Shabari that there are 9 forms of devotion, and that is the highest virtue that is embodied by Mother Shabari. He says, Shravanam, listening to the glories of God. Kirtanam, singing the glory of God. Vishnu Smaranam, contemplating on his divine leelas. Pada Sevanam, offering ritual worship and also following his teachings. Vandanam, seeing the divine in all beings and prostrating to them. Archanam, to do again, offer all that is yours. That is Manasa Phalam, Hridaya Pushpam, Deha Patram, Ashrutoyam. This is how Archanam is done to the Lord, as Swami beautifully describes. That is the fruit of the mind. All actions that you do has a fruit, offer it to Swami. Your heart full of feelings is like a flower, offer it to Swami. The body is the patram, the leaf that is to be offered to Swami. And when you think of Swami and shed tears of bliss and joy, that is the water, toyam, that is to be offered. This is the archanam. Padasevanam, vandanam, archanam, dasyam, serve to the Lord. Sneham, developing friendship with the Lord, like Arjuna did to Lord Krishna. And Atmanivedanam, like Gopika's complete total surrender in union with God. These are the Navavida Bhakti Amma tells Rama to Shabari. And he says, you know, if devotees cultivate even one of them properly, they can reach me, said Rama. But then he said, in you, O great Mother Shabari, not one, all 9 forms of devotion are there. What can I say about you, he says. And he confers the highest liberation to Mother Shabari then and there. That is the greatness of this devotee, whom we are all blessed to even think of. We move from Aranyakanda to Kishkindakanda. As promised, you can see that is Kishkinda. It is near Hampi. You all must have heard of Hampi, World Heritage Center today. But that is actually blessed. So what happened is, in Swami's childhood, you must have heard of this story. In Swami's childhood, before Avatar declaration, Swami had gone with his brother, sister-in-law and the ex from Urvakonda. They had gone to Hampi, and as they were walking the streets, Kasturiji records this in Satyam Shivam Sundaram, Swami's biography, that as they were walking the streets of Hampi, there were some saintly people who were sitting there, who would, with matted hair, they would just be sitting around in temples. Suddenly one of them shouted out and said, "This boy is not an ordinary boy. This is verily the divine who has incarnated in this form." Suddenly one saintly person just shouted so that everybody could hear. But they did not take it seriously. And it was in Hampi Virupaksha temple where Swami showed that Leela. He was taking care of their luggage outside under a tree, and Swami was enjoying the architecture, the Vijayanagaram Empire's architecture in Hampi. He was enjoying that. He was not bothered about going to the Garbhagraham. He sent them, "You all go, I will be here," he said. And we know the most wonderful event that happened, that Swami's brother Shesham Raju Garu and the family who were standing in front of the Garbhagraham, instead of the Virupaksha Devata, the lingam there, they saw Satya standing there. So he had a doubt, is this some kind of an illusion of my mind or what? So he ran out to check if little Satya was still outside. And he saw Satya standing under the tree, taking care of the luggage. And he again ran inside and he saw that he was there in the Garbhagraham. And let us all know this for sure, that was not Swami's first visit to that place, physically. Because when he was Rama, he went there to Kishkinda. And that is the birthplace of the great devotee Hanuman as well. You can see that there is a circle and 4 arrows, because in the Kishkindakanda is where the Vanara Sena was sent in all 4 directions in search of Mother Sita. That is why the definition of what is Kishkindakanda is not there in this map. Again, there are extraordinary personalities in this Kanda who are introduced into Ramayana. But there is one being we all must take great inspiration from. In fact, this we must be like him, and we must spread this message to every youth in our country today. That was this great, wonderful warrior by name Angada, the son of Vali. We all know that Rama, who is Dharmatma himself, very righteously, but with a particular yukti, he killed Vali. And Swami explains what is the dharma behind that and all of that, which is a discussion for some other time. But as a result, what happened is Vali was dead and Angada was left without a father. Now imagine somebody else in this situation. Somebody kills your own father, who is also the king of that place. What would be going on in the mind of such a young boy? What kind of enmity, revenge and vengeance will be boiling in his blood? But you know what? When it came to serving Rama in the battlefield against Ravana, there was no greater warrior than Angada. In fact, when Rama wanted to give Ravana one final opportunity to surrender to him, he chose Angada. Rama chose Angada and sent him as a messenger to Lanka, that is to the court of Ravana. And Ravana sees Angada and says, "Oh, you have come, you who are the son of my friend." And Angada reminds him, "I don't think my father was your friend. I think you went to wage a war with him, and because of the power of Vali, he had the power that whoever would stand in front of him, 50% of their strength will come to him." Right? So he said, because of my father's power, he was going to do Sandhya, and he put you in his armpit, and then he took dips into the ocean, and after that you apologized and left. That is what I remember my father telling me, he says. So then Ravana corrects course and says, yes, something like that. But you are a son of a great warrior like Vali. What are you doing in Rama's army? Isn't he your enemy? He killed your father. Then Angada says, you stop it, Ravana. I know what Rama is. Ramo Vigrahan Dharmaha. He is the very embodiment of Dharma. That is what he is. I will give my life for Rama, but you leave that aside. This is a wasteful discussion that we are having. I have come here to convey the message of Rama. I don't want to delay in my duty. So I am doing that now. And in addition to that, I am taking the responsibility to communicate something. Look at what kind of faith Rama had in Angada. He not only sent him as a messenger, he knew what he would do there. What Angada did is portrayed in that second image there. He put his foot forward and said, you better take refuge at the lotus feet of Rama, because I am telling you, you don't know the power of this great being. And a monkey like me can challenge you, he said, and he put his foot forward and laid a challenge on behalf of Rama. Can you imagine that? Angada laid a challenge to Ravana on behalf of Rama, and he said, if anybody in your army is able to move my feet even by an inch, Rama will accept defeat. Can you imagine that? He puts this challenge to Ravana, and everybody comes, all his valorous army commanders come and try. They are not able to move the feet of Angada even by a millimeter. That was his great strength, and that was the power of faith in Rama in him. And you know what? Finally, Ravana is perturbed. Even Indrajit, his great valorous son Indrajit, failed to move his feet. So Ravana himself got down and came in order to hold his leg. And Angada withdrew his leg at that point and said, no, if you want to fall at feet, not my feet, fall at Rama's feet, he said. Why? Because it is only glorious if Rama vanquishes Ravana. It is not glorious if Angada vanquishes Ravana. So to keep that maryada, he said, don't fall at my feet, fall at Rama's feet. And then he goes away because Ravana has of course not taken the offer. So such message is something in this today's world where at the slightest instigation there is violence. Slightest instigation there is communal violence, revengeful attitudes. This example must be lived by us and spread in every nook and corner of the society. Angada is such a great devotee of Rama. Now we will all, like before, invoke the blessings of these personality, Mother Shabari and Angada and all the great devotees in the Vanara Sena as well through this bhajan. Let's invoke their grace and blessings on us. Sai Ram.
चरण सुखदाई भजो रे सुखदाई भजो रे राम चरण 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 सुखदाई भजो रे राम नाम के दो अक्षर में 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 सब सुख शांति समाई रे सुख शांति समाई रे सब सुख शांति समाई रे सब सुख शांति समाई रे साईनाथ के शरण में आकर 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 जीवन सफल बनाओ रे जीवन सफल बनाओ रे जीवन सफल बनाओ रे जीवन सफल बनाओ रे राम चरण सुखदाई भजो रे चरण सुखदाई भजो रे राम 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 नाम के दो अक्षर में राम नाम के दो अक्षर में सब सुख शांति समाई रे सब सुख शांति समाई रे साईनाथ के चरण में आकर साईनाथ के चरण में आकर जीवन सफल बनाओ रे जीवन सफल बनाओ रे जीवन सफल बनाओ रे जीवन सफल बनाओ रे राम चरण सुखदाई भजो रे
What beautiful words of this bhajan. Sai Nath ke sharan mein aakar Jivan Safal Banavare. In fact, every personality in Ramayana are communicating this very same message. So we then come to the next kanda, which is called Sundarakanda. Now, this is the subject matter for tomorrow. The entire Ramayana Sapthāha for tomorrow is on this. And you know who the hero is of this kanda, Shri Hanuman himself. So, we will look at this more in detail tomorrow. But there is one personality who is introduced in this kanda in Ramayana, and that is Vibhishana. When Hanuman goes into Lanka, just a word on Vibhishana here. Vibhishana was such a beautiful devotee of Rama. And Swami always enjoyed another scene again. When it comes to Ramayana, Swami loves Ramayana so much that he made the students, portray this multiple times in dramas. He would love that students do drama on all these wonderful epics. And one other favorite scene of Swami is Vibhishana Sharanagati. And that is the quality of Vibhishana. He was in the midst. Swami would often refer to Vibhishana as tongue amidst the teeth. You see, all the teeth are so sharp and the tongue is so soft inside. It is sattvic. All others are rajasic and tamasic. Any time the tongue can be heard, but it is there amidst them, right? In the same way, Vibhishana was amidst the other Rakshasas. He was of pure sattva guna. And when Hanuman meets him, he very naively and sweetly asks Hanuman, Hanuman, I also do Ramanama Smarana. You also do Ramanama Smarana. But I only get to imagine Rama, but you get to live with him. How is this? Can you reveal your secret to me? And then Hanuman says, see, you are saying Rama, Rama, I agree. And that is what has resulted in the sweetness that you are as a devotee, such a beautiful being amidst these Rakshasas. But then you must know this, it is not enough to do Ramanama. Yes, it is very powerful. It is not enough to do Ramanama. You must also do Rama Karya along with it, he says. Now, Mother Sita has been here for these many months. What have you done to serve her, he asks this question. And that is when Vibhishana realizes his mistake, and he in fact intensifies his counsel to Ravana. In fact, it is he who protected Hanuman from receiving any punishment. Not that Hanuman would have been affected, but he ensured that Ravana does not make that mistake of hurting Hanuman. And you know what happened after that. But finally, when he was sent out, he took the refuge of Shri Rama, and Rama granted him the refuge. Not just that, instantly he did the Pattabhishekam of Vibhishana. Even before Ravana was killed, he was declared as the king of Lanka. And that was Rama's Sankalpa. So that happened in this kanda, and such a beautiful devotee with such high virtues. Even in the face, many of us may be in such situations, right? Like Vibhishana. We may be amidst very difficult people, at least around us. But as long as we are doing Swami's Namasmarana and his Karya and take refuge in him, we are constantly protected, like how the tongue is safe amidst the teeth. So finally, we go to the Yuddhakanda, where Shri Rama arrives and the bridge is built across the ocean, as Swami describes, across the ocean of delusion. And you know what happened in the war. We are not going to discuss the war here, but about one other rare personality. Of course, she is also introduced in a sense in Sundarakanda itself, but there is an amazing story that Swami narrated about her with relation to the Yuddhakanda. That is after Ravana was vanquished, immediately after, when Mother Sita was brought to Shri Rama's presence. It was she who brought her. Before revealing her name, some of you may know who she is. Let me go straight to the story that Swami narrated. What Swami did was, in an interview, Swami asked all the devotees assembled in the room, do you know who is Subhadra? Who is Subhadra? They said, yes, Swami. Subhadra is the sister of Lord Krishna and the wife of Arjuna. So Swami said, that is okay, but do you know who she really is? So everybody was wondering, what does that mean? So they said, Swami, you must only reveal it to us. And then Swami started narrating the story. He said, see, Trijata, the daughter of Vibhishana, the only person who was constantly in service to Mother Sita in Ashokavana, she constantly applied herself to serve Mother Sita. And as she was serving day in and day out, she developed deep love for Rama. Why? What would Mother Sita talk about day in and day out? So whenever she would come to serve Mother Sita will describe the beauty of Rama, the way he would converse with equal love and compassion from the gardener all the way to the minister, the way Rama would serve his parents, the way Rama would serve his in-laws, the way Rama would do this and that, everything, day in and day out, Sita was all about Rama, how he looked, how he would walk, how he would smile. Intricate details of Rama's personality, the divine personality and charm, she would constantly keep sharing with Trijata. Now this resulted, see the power of satsang. In this satsang with Mother Sita, the image of Rama constantly got built inside this Rakshasi, who is Trijata. She belongs to the Rakshasa clan. It built into her. She was so much intensely in love with the Rama. She has not seen Rama physically, but she has the image of Rama in her heart already, based on what Mother Sita would say. This is the power of satsang. In fact, Swami once told us in Kodaikanal, the power of satsang is like this. Suppose you have two pieces of coal and one is aflame. It is burning and you are the other piece of coal. You must just ensure that you are dry and in close proximity with that which is aflame. What will happen? You will also catch fire. He said this is the mahima of satsang. In the same way here, the dry piece of coal was Trijata and the coal that was aflame in the example is Mother Sita. So she was just in the proximity of Mother Sita, she caught flame. And she was in intense love with Rama. So finally, when Ravana was vanquished and Dharma was established and Mother Sita was to be brought to Rama's presence, it was Trijata who brought Mother Sita to the presence of Shri Rama. And that is the first time she had the darshan of Rama. Now, the story is being narrated by Swami in interview room. Okay? So, that was the first time she saw Rama, and all the devotion that grew in her heart because of the satsang, it burst forth like a volcano. She couldn't contain it. And knowingly or unknowingly, she made a prayer in her heart. Swami, let me be closest to you, either as your wife or your sister. This came out without her thought, because that was her intensity of devotion. Either as your wife or sister, because they are generally the closest to any human being, right? So, let me be closest to you, either as your wife or your sister. Rama, who received this prayer instantly, because any prayer made from the core of the heart reaches Swami instantly. And Rama, who received this prayer, blessed it with success. He said, Tatasthu. Why? Because of the service that she had done. Rama had seen that she had earned great merit through seva. You see the power of satsang first, then the power of seva, selfless service. Because of the service she rendered to Mother Sita, she had enough spiritual account balance, punya phala. Rama saw she has the account balance and he said, Tatastu. You will be granted this chance. And therefore, the same Mahavishnu who had come in the Kshetra of Badrinath as Nara and Narayana Rishi were born again in the form of Nara, the great Narayana himself, who took the form of Nara. The aspect incarnation of Nara was born as Arjuna, and the Narayana Rishi, who was full incarnation of Lord Narayana himself, came as Krishna. And in that incarnation, what happened is Subhadra, which is Trijata reborn, Subhadra became the sister of the Narayana aspect of the unmanifest divinity, which is Lord Krishna, and she became the wife of the Nara incarnation of the unmanifest. The unmanifest divinity is incarnated as all of us also. And therefore, there Nara and Narayana. She became the sister of Narayana and the wife of Nara, there, you see, as Arjuna. And her wish, can you imagine the Leela of God, that anything can happen in this creation? She asked like that and he said Tatastu, and he fulfilled his word in that manner. Swami then said, do you know why I am telling you this story? Because one day, Krishna asked Arjuna to call Subhadra and take her to the banks of Yamuna and leave her there and tell that Krishna has told your time has come. What has happened? Krishna has told your time has come. She will understand, she will do the needful. Arjuna was shocked because he knows what this means. But he had to obey again the Lord's command. He took Subhadra, went in the chariot, he rode it himself. He took her to the bank, communicated the message that Krishna has said your time has come. She also understood. She prostrated to Krishna, she prostrated to Arjuna, Arjuna prostrated to her, and she just walked into the waters in Jala Samadhi. They were all yogis of great capacity. She walked into Jala Samadhi as she was leaving the prana. That is, the prana was left and the body would go into the river. That was the process then. So she was doing that. And Krishna's instruction to Arjuna is, after you leave her, you come back to the chariot, don't turn and see. Now this is the Leela of Lord. He knows the monkey mind of human beings. If you say, don't do this, they will do only that. So Arjuna left her there and he was coming back to the chariot. And he was so moved by emotion that he turned and he saw. Especially because Krishna said, don't see. So he turned and saw, and what he saw was her physical body merged into the water. And because of Arjuna himself being a great yogi, he saw in the subtle a demoness flying out. And he was shocked. So he rushed back to Swami, that is Bhagavan Krishna's presence, and he said, Krishna said as soon as he saw Arjuna, I told you not to turn and see. Why did you turn? And he said, forgive me, my Lord, but there is a greater thing that I am not able to understand. Predicament here. My wife was a Rakshasi. Your sister was a Rakshasi. I can't reconcile to this. And then Krishna explained this entire story of Trijata and said, see, because of the boon that I conferred to her as Rama, she is born now as my sister. She was so close to me physically that my slightest indication she can understand. That is why when I said her time has come, she knew what it means. And she did that because my slightest indication, she will know what is to be done, what I desire in my heart. She was that close to me, yet she did not make use of this chance of my divine presence to take me as the Sadguru and redeem herself from the cycle of birth and death by doing the sadhana of Atmajnana. Because she didn't do the sadhana of Atmajnana, which is only given by Sadguru, Krishna said her punya phala kept getting reduced, and at the end of the day, she went back to where she started. You see? So even after the seva that she did, even after the satsang that she did, she earned great punya phala. She was conferred that boon of proximity to divinity. But Swami said this in the interview room. She didn't make use of it in taking me as the Satguru, and therefore, and didn't do the necessary sadhana. Therefore, every moment of proximity she had, all her punya phala vanished and she had to go back to where she started from. Swami did not stop there. He said, Meeru kuda ante. You are all also like that. You don't know how much punya phala you have earned through satkarmas in your past birth, that you are in the presence of the divine incarnation, Bhagavan Shri Satya Sai. Swami himself said this. And therefore, make use of this opportunity. This is the highest message given by these wonderful, lesser known personalities. Make use of Swami's presence now. And how is he present now? His divine presence is anyway always there. But the avatar is in the form of his vak, his words. His words are our guide. And when we take his words as the Guru, as the Sadguru, and implicitly obey his instructions and do the necessary sadhana, he will confer that supreme grace. Suprabhatam cheste, supreme grace istanu. So you see, it doesn't start with just invoking his grace, but it culminates in actual practice of the Sadguru's teachings in our life. With these few words, let us all invoke the grace of this Mangalamaya Rupam of Bhagavan. Finally, you know that after all that happened, they all went back to Ayodhya. Bharata had joined them. He looked just like Rama. He attained Sarupya Mukti. And all of them went together and they participated in the Pattabhishekam, the grand celebration of Rama's Pattabhishekam, which is symbolic of the sadhaka's self-realization. And therefore Swami says, what in Suprabhatam, what is the last part of Suprabhatam? Ye patanti dine dine, te vishanti parandhama. Parandhama means, in Bhagavad Gita it is said, what is that parandhama? Yad gatva nani vartante tadhama paramam mama. Parandhama is what? You are telling this every day in Suprabhatam. Parandhama means yad gatva nani vartante. Having reached that, you cannot come back. Means it is the light of knowledge. Jnanat evatu kaivalyam. Complete realization from this. You go out of the cycle of birth, of death completely. Such a light of wisdom, having reached which you cannot come back to ignorance even if you want to. That is what Bhagavan has come to confer on us. He says, I will give you whatever you ask for, with a hope that one day you will ask for what I have come to give you, and that is this. What is that? Parandhama. Te vishanti parandhama jnana vijnana shobhita. Vijnana here is not science. Jnana is Atma Jnana. Vijnana means to realize that the self that I am is the same self in all of creation. I am Atma Brahma is Vishesha Jnana, Vijnana here. Mangalam Gurudevaya, Mangalam Jnanadaine, Mangalam Partivasaya, Mangalam Satyasayine. May His auspicious grace be on all of us. Sai Ram.
Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita 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 Ram. Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam. 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 Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. 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 Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram. Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram. Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam, Radhe Shyam. 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 Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Sai Ram. This is what happens when we are in a satsang talking about the Lord's glory. We just go on and forget the time, the amount of time we spend over here. So when we look at all the devotees that Dr. Sai Giridhar had spoken about, they were all they all prayed to the Lord, they all surrendered to the Lord. And in all the cases, the Lord did two things. One, He gave Himself to them. Two, He offered them protection forever. At this juncture, I'm reminded of this incident when Vibhishana, the king of Ravana, when he ferries across the ocean and surrenders to Lord Rama, Sugriva warns Rama, saying, it's not right to offer him protection. That's when Lord Rama declares, Sakrideva prapanno yas tava smriti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etad vratam mama. Which means, even for once, if anyone, be it man, animal, whatever species, caste, creed, anyone, if you pray and surrender to me, even for once, I will offer myself to you and also provide you fearlessness. Abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami. I will offer him fearlessness forever. This is my vow. And this is exactly what Lord Rama did throughout the entire Ramayana. To Shabari, to Trijata, he offered himself. To Vibhishana, he offered protection forever. This is the greatness and the mercy of the Lord. So, before we conclude this evening's satsang, a couple of important announcements. Tomorrow will be the valedictory program, or the 7th day of the Ramayana Sapthāha. The 5 a.m. in the morning, we will have Omkaram, Suprabhatam and Nagar Sankirtan in Swami's residence. And the evening program will commence at 4:30 p.m. with Vedam and Bhajans. And at 4:55, we will have Brother Giridhar speak to us about the greatest devotee of the Lord, Lord Hanuman himself. At 6 p.m., we will have devotional songs offered by the Mahila section of the Brindavan Bhajan group. At 6:35 p.m., we will have the concluding remarks by the State President, Shri Venkatramana Gosavi, followed by bhajans, and we will offer Aarti to Swami at 7 p.m., followed by Swami's Prasadam. So we request everyone to come with their friends and family and be present in the final day of the Ramayana Sapthāha. And today, the 6th day of the Sapthāha, we will now conclude by offering Aarti to Swami, after which we request all the devotees to please partake Swami's Prasadam. Sai Ram.
Om Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Satya Sai Hare Bhakta Jana Samrakshaka Bhakta Jana Samrakshaka Bhakti Maheshwara Om Jai Jagadish Hare Shashi Vadana Shri Kara Sarva Pranapate Swami Sarva Pranapate समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।
स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्य परिपालयन्ता न्यायेन मार्गेण महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका